All right, guys, so I just wanted to go over some different NFL draft prospects that I think probably are going to be very high first-round picks that have some significant red flags. I would not touch any of these guys with a 10-foot pole. I don't want to trigger anyone. I know we all like our own prospects, things like that. But based off of, previous history, me doing different videos throughout the years, stuff like that, I can normally identify players that are not going to do very well in terms of the NFL. And when it comes to my number one overall player on my potential bust list, it is Jalen Carter. This one, it's very easy for me. I didn't like Jalen Carter even before any of the speeding incident, the gaining weight before the pro day. When I look at Jalen Carter from Georgia, the interior defensive tackle, right now kind of falling down boards a little bit, but still likely a top 10 pick, currently being mocked 8th overall to Atlanta, 6th overall to Detroit. This is your typical, whoever gets him is going to be like, OMG, we just got a steal. This is the number one overall player, and we're getting him at number 8. I love our GM, right? That's what everyone's going to say. We can already tell. But I don't know why people are so obsessed with Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, for me, a big thing is production, and I understand defensive tackles, they're not going to put up great stats. Jalen Carter has 6 sacks in his career. So you're going to give me 3 sacks a year, and you're going to drive 160 miles per hour above the speed limit? I don't think that's a good deal. I'm sorry. So Jalen Carter, who will very likely be mocked inside the top 10. I said this about Trayvon Walker last year. I just don't see it from these guys. I understand Trayvon Walker's a bit of a project, but I don't think that project's going to end up working out. So Jalen Carter, a combination really of production, the incidents off the field. I'm just staying away from him. I'm not interested. Really, any pick in the first round. Would I take a chance late in the first round? I guess. Where do I think he'll be drafted? Maybe, 7th or 8th. Maybe he falls back to 13 or 14, but I don't see him falling any further than that. So Jalen Carter, it's like we hype all these guys up, and I'm looking at the stats, and I'm just not seeing very much production at all. You can reference his PFF grade, but come on. The PFF grades with the defensive tackles, if they get one pressure, their grade's like a 97, guys. Let's be honest. It's ridiculous. So Jalen Carter is number 1 on my list. Number 2, it is Anthony Richardson, and this one, not a surprise to a lot of people. I think Anthony Richardson's going to be a complete bust in the NFL. He's got all the prototypical traits of being a bust. The traits that are being hyped up with Anthony Richardson really just don't matter when it comes to being an elite quarterback in the NFL right now, trending towards being the 4th overall pick of the Indianapolis Colts. You can see he's going as high as number 2. There was a little bit of speculation. Would Carolina fall in love with him? I really doubt it. I would be shocked right now if the top 2 picks are not Carolina taking C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young going to Houston. Then it gets a little interesting. What does Indianapolis do? Does a team trade up? Where does Anthony Richardson go? But guys, Anthony Richardson, it's like your broad jump, your vertical, that does not matter at all. And that's what people are hyping up Anthony Richardson based off of. And obviously, I'm sure a lot of us watch college. If you do watch college, it's just the Anthony Richardson hype really makes no sense. You're talking about 54% completion percentage. That is an ultra red flag. I will admit the Josh Allen outlier is interesting. Josh Allen really struggled throwing the ball at Wyoming. Didn't have the best receiving core. Same thing with Anthony Richardson. I get it. But to me, the idea that we're going to find another Josh Allen prospect, it's just 1 in a million. So with Anthony Richardson, the very average college numbers, I think he probably should have stayed in college another year. There's a difference between what's best for Anthony Richardson's actual development and what's best for the bottom line. It's clear the best thing for Anthony Richardson was coming out because he's going to be a top 5 pick and he's going to secure a massive rookie contract. But in terms of his development, this is not a guy that can come in and start week 1 of the NFL season. He's going to have to be mentored significantly and probably come in late in the season. The next guy that we're looking at, it is Myles Murphy, who is still being mocked in the first rounds, but he is kind of falling down the draft boards a little bit. There's a saying that I have. It's called all athleticism, no production. And it really doesn't completely fit with Myles Murphy. I mean, this guy's a former 5-star. He's put up okay numbers, actually better numbers than I thought. 6.5 sacks, 7 sacks, not terrible. I'm just not seeing it from Myles Murphy. Let me just say this, especially early in the first round. Now, Myles Murphy as a late first-round pick, which is kind of where he's trending, I'm not going to kill a team for taking Myles Murphy 25th overall. But if you're taking him 8th overall, like kind of where the mock drafts were earlier, about a month ago, that's a big issue for me, and I don't think Myles Murphy is worthy of being, I would say, a top 15 pick based off of his overall tape at Clemson. The next guy, it's going to be Quentin Johnston, the receiver from TCU. So Quentin Johnston, to me, is a typical big receiver that plays small. And guys, I nailed Treylon Burks last year. I said, don't draft Treylon Burks, stay away. The receiver I don't like this year is Quentin Johnston. TCU does not have a great track record of developing receivers. I think if you want a bigger receiver in this draft, you're much better off spending a later round pick on Xavier Richardson than you are investing, the 22nd overall or the 17th overall pick on Quentin Johnston. I understand the stats are decent. It's nothing crazy. 6 touchdowns, averaging 18 yards per catch is good. But Quentin Johnston, the inability to make catches in traffic as a bigger receiver, that's a big red flag. When you're talking about facing smaller cornerbacks in college, it's only going to get tougher. You're a big receiver. You play small. I'm staying away from you. I'm sorry. Not a fan of Quentin Johnston going into this draft. Next, we're going to be looking at Bryan Bresee, who is actually the former number 1 overall prospect in the class of 2024 recruiting. It is another Clemson defensive lineman. He is more of an interior defensive lineman. Myles Murphy is more of an edge rusher, but right now he's being mocked towards the end of the first round, and this is just a guy based on injuries. There's simply no way that I would be investing a first-round pick on Bresee. It's too many injuries. It's no production. I mean, you're talking about a total of 9 sacks last 2 years, 28 total tackles combined, 15 total solo tackles within the past 2 seasons. If you want to maybe do a flyer and say a second-round pick on a guy that has really good potential to be a run stopper, and also can rush the passer as kind of a hybrid edge defensive tackle guy in a 3-4. I could see that. I could buy that. But drafting him 22nd, 23rd overall, late first round, I just can't do it. He's injured way too much. There's no way I would make that type of investment. And then the last guy we're going to be looking at, Jalen Hyatt. So I do think I have the perfect comparison for Jalen Hyatt. And if you guys remember, Devin Smith out of Ohio State, this is Devin Smith 2.0. Now, there is an argument that can be made that Devin Smith, if he was healthy, he might have been better in the NFL, but Devin Smith was a complete bust from Ohio State. He ran one route. Everyone thought he was this speed guy. Then he ran his 40 time, and he was a 4.42 guy, and everyone was shocked. Jalen Hyatt is the exact same thing. He has one route. He runs straight, and everyone's like, he's so fast. He runs a 4.41. Everyone's shocked. That's really slow. If you were to ask me what I think Jalen Hyatt, based off of his profile, should run, I would probably say a 4.3 flat, maybe a 4.29. For him to be a 4.4 guy with that limited route tree, I'm not touching him anywhere near the first round. It's the limited route tree. The perfect comparison for Jalen Hyatt is Devin Smith, so I would stay away from him. Maybe if you have a specific offense that only needs a deep threat, he could be a guy you could look at, but as a complete receiver, I mean, there's no way you can draft him in the first round, in my opinion. So guys, those are some prospects that I really do not like going into the 2023 NFL draft. I think, what is that, 7 total prospects, maybe 6, that I do not think are going to be good pros. We'll have to see if it ends up working out for them. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.